Hey there guys, Dave Thomas, owner of Dave Thomas and the Dream Team here. And after our pretty much year-long hiatus from making YouTube videos, we're back in the game. I'm gonna give it to you straight. We lost Peruvian John. And I sunk into a pretty deep depression thereafter. Mostly because Peruvian John did all the editing, all the picture-in-picture, all the filming, all the post-editing of audio, producing, some of the writing. I don't know exactly what it is that I do. It's no secret that I stared off into space longingly for a whole lot of days this last year without Peruvian John here. Anyway, with that in mind, today we're going to be talking about the 4 biggest myths I run into in real estate. We're going to talk about that right now. See, PJ would have done something right here. But I just know how to cut video. Alright guys, so today we're talking about the 4 myths I run into most in the world of real estate. The first myth that I seem to run into the most is that you can only use your VA loan one time. I can't tell you how often I have people come into my office and tell me that they've been waiting and saving their VA loan for when they find their retirement home. Actually, I can probably tell you exactly how many times it is, like 3 times a year, maybe 4, once every 3 or 4 months. So I mean, it's not so often, but it's enough to drive you a little bit crazy because you can use that VA loan as often as you want, obviously within the parameters of your debt to income ratio, and your credit is going to play a factor there, but that's a conversation for another day. The fact is, you don't just have to use your VA loan one time. I know this is probably a little specific to Colorado Springs, especially because most other markets aren't using VA loans as often as we are, but we have Schriever Air Force Base, Peterson Air Force Base, Fort Carson, the Air Force Academy, and then all the DoD employees who were previously employed by the military. And of course, we've got the world's largest military retirement community right here in Colorado Springs. So we see a lot of VA loans, we'll put it that way. Guys, you can use it more than once. If you have questions about the VA loan, you can always call me, but if you want a better authority, you can call my boy Brian Inlow over at Leader One. You guys know it. That is a handsome man. The next myth that I seem to run into quite a bit, especially when people are using, again, VA loans or FHA loans, sometimes I hear people talk about it with conventional loans, is they think they don't need to have an inspection done because they're expecting the appraiser to go out and actually inspect the property. And it's not completely untrue, just that with VA and FHA loans, the appraiser actually will go out there and make sure that the home is in kind of a move-in ready condition. The fact is they're really not going to be doing any kind of inspection. They just want to make sure that if you default on your mortgage, they can turn around and flip the property really quickly, which is something they can't do if the home is looking pretty haggard or is really beat up. Usually when they go in, they're looking for cosmetic items like holes in drywall. I see paint come up quite a bit from appraisers where they want you to paint front and rear decks. They're not going to go in there and check for polybutylene piping, bad roofing, or a faulty furnace. So you do really need to hire an inspector in addition to your appraisal. The third myth that I seem to run into quite a bit is that it always makes more sense to buy than to rent. And I really blame real estate agents for perpetuating this myth. There are plenty of occasions where it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to buy a property. First of all, your home is not a liquid asset. So if you're only stationed here, if you're only going to be living in Colorado Springs for 1, maybe 2 years, then no, buying a home probably doesn't make a tremendous amount of sense for you unless you're willing to do some rehab to the property and upgrade it. At that point, you're kind of more of a flipper than just a homeowner. You know, and then there's other situations where it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to buy a property, and maybe your marriage is on the rocks, looking a little bit rocky, you know? Look yourself in the mirror, look your wife in the eyes and say, is this thing gonna stand the test of time? And by time, I mean like at least 3 more years. And if not, maybe renting is for you while you guys kind of work things out. I'm not a marriage counselor, but I am a real estate agent, and divorce is the #2 reason, right behind medical bills, I see homes go into foreclosure. So make sure you're going to be living in that location at least 3 or more years. Make sure that your marriage is in a solid, place. Make sure that you have a quality job. Make sure that your employment situation is stable before you go out and take out hundreds of thousands of dollars in loan money to purchase a property. And the 4th biggest myth that I run into in the world of real estate is that Joe Flacco is still a franchise quarterback. I didn't like him back in 2012 when he rode the Ravens defense all the way to the Super Bowl and knocked the Broncos out in the 1st round, and I sure as hell don't like him now. Sure, he threw a couple of dope long balls in that playoff season. What have you done for me lately, Joe Flacco? Stop checking down and start taking some shots down the field. Oh, boo-hoo. The coaches, it's like they're afraid to lose. We don't want to go for it on 4th down. I can't figure out why. Because we're one of the worst scoring offenses in football right now with some of the lowest productivity in every category of the game, and we have a pretty dope defense. Whose shoulders are you going to put it on? With that in mind, guys, as always, if you're thinking about buying a property, if you're thinking about selling a property, if you're thinking about Airbnb-ing your property, if you're thinking about flipping a property, if you're thinking about property at all, just at all, please feel free to give us a call. You can reach us at this number, or you can always shoot me an email at Davidthomas.tdt@gmail.com or visit us at daveandthedreamteam.com. Thanks so much, guys. Please don't forget to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Man, I really miss Peruvian John because there'd be like a YouTube symbol, like a Facebook symbol. I can put the phone number up. Get my logo in here. That's about it. The third myth, God, fat man hands on camera. Does anybody else feel like their hands look really fat on camera? Fat hand. I feel like I'm in better shape than what my hands look like on camera.